Welcome to Narrator Stories Recaps. Today I'll be discussing a fantasy action movie, along with the gods, the two worlds. Spoilers ahead. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Narrator Stories Recaps in Korean Buddhist folklore. It is believed that when a human dies, their soul must undergo a series of 7 trials over 49 days in hell. These trials reproduce the 7 most dreaded punishments in the underworld. Countless souls are seen running frantically on a massive platform if they stop. They're ground into meat patties as punishment for laziness during their lifetime. Thus, even in death, one must suffer if they fail to work diligently while alive. If a soul cannot endure the torment of endless running, they can jump into the sea. But doing so leads to an even crueler fate, being torn apart by real demons. This is just one of many criminal laws in the underworld. There are more realms of punishment in hell, including a fiery hell where murderers are judged, an abyss where the sins of violence and lying are weighed, and a Buddha hell where devils are judged. For millennia, only a few souls have ever passed all judgments successfully. But today, the guardians of the afterlife welcome a special soul, Jin Zihong. Jin Zihong was a firefighter who had died in the line of duty. Just hours before, he had fallen from a burning high-rise building while trying to save a little girl. In his final moments, he held her tightly in his arms to protect her, and although she survived, her family showed little gratitude. When Jin stood up and asked about the girl, he was shocked to discover that he had died. Soon, 2 afterlife guardians arrived to inform him of his death and to escort him to the underworld for judgment. Jin Zihong wished to see his mother one last time before departing, but the messengers denied his request. He was then sucked into a giant vortex and taken to the afterlife. In this world, all souls must pass through 7 trials within 49 days to determine whether they will be reborn as humans or remain in the afterlife forever. Hell's judgment functions similarly to a courtroom, where souls are defended by a lawyer who argues on their behalf to help them complete the transition to reincarnation. Because firefighters are seen as noble individuals, Jin is given priority treatment. As the door to judgment opens, one of the female messengers excitedly declares that Jin Zihong is a righteous soul. However, things take an unexpected turn when they realize that Jin's first trial is in the fiery hell where murderers are judged. The guardians are shocked, as the judgment for murder is typically reserved for serious crimes, and Jin had led a virtuous life. Yet the messengers explain that murder doesn't always refer to direct killing. It can also include indirect harm, such as causing someone's death through negligence or emotional violence. Suddenly, the ground beneath Jin's feet cracks open, revealing a searing 1,000-degree volcano. Stone pillars rise from the lava, and Jin is thrown into the inferno to experience the excruciating pain of burning alive. A fierce judge overseeing the trial accuses Jin of leaving injured teammates behind during a rescue mission, leading to their deaths in a fire. Jin says nothing as the judge continues to shout that he abandoned his comrades out of fear for his own life. At this point, one of the messengers steps forward to defend Jin, explaining the truth of what happened. During the fire, one of Jin's teammates had his leg crushed by a stone slab, and they lacked the proper tools to rescue him. The messenger delves deeper into Jin's past, revealing that he was never lazy or negligent and had always gone above and beyond to help others. They recount several instances where Jin had risked his life to save others, such as saving a village's buffalo during a typhoon and rescuing kittens from drowning. Upon hearing this, the judge is moved and agrees that Jin's actions were driven by a selfless desire to help others. The judge asks why Jin was so determined to assist others, and Jin's answer shocks everyone: "I did it to make money." This response causes the judge to frown, suspecting that Jin's intentions were less noble than they seemed. However, after further reflection, the judge rules that Jin was not guilty of murder, and he is allowed to proceed to the next trial. On their way to the next realm, the group encounters countless vengeful spirits, each with a distinct appearance. The 2 messengers draw their weapons and engage in battle to fend off the spirits. One of the messengers explains that these spirits are present because Jin was indirectly involved in the death of another soul. Someone who was unjustly killed. Jin begins to panic, thinking that his mother may have been harmed in the human world. To investigate, one of the messengers travels to the human realm. There, he finds Jin's mother still alive and asks her through sign language who she believes he is. Jin's mother responds that the messenger is someone her son had saved during his lifetime. The messenger is deeply moved, shedding tears as he reveals that he was indeed someone Jin had rescued. The mother embraces him, offering comfort to both herself and the messenger. Meanwhile, the other messenger discovers that the wrongly killed soul was Chujin, a fellow firefighter. Chujin's soul is filled with rage, and he attempts to escape from the underworld. The messenger chases after him, leading to a wild pursuit. Eventually, they arrive at the place where Chujin was killed. It is revealed that just a few days earlier, Chujin had been training a new recruit. During the session, the nervous rookie accidentally fired his weapon, striking Chujin in the abdomen. The injury was severe, and Chujin bled out before he could be saved. The new recruit hurriedly called the lieutenant. Fearing that this incident would affect his promotion, the lieutenant decided to bury the body with the recruit. What they didn't know was that Xiao Hong wasn't dead yet. He was suffocated to death by them. Afterward, his spirit turned into a vengeful ghost. The next day, the lieutenant went to Xiao Hong's home and told his mother that Xiao Hong had deserted and his whereabouts were unknown. Meanwhile, the new recruit was plagued with guilt and fear, constantly distracted, and getting drunk every day at the bar to numb himself. Out of anger, Xiao Hong's vengeful spirit latched onto the recruit and even tried to drop the bar's chandelier to crush him. The messenger appeared, causing Xiao Hong's vengeful spirit to flee in panic. The messenger pursued him and eventually restrained him with a rope at the top of a pagoda. However, Xiao Hong's resentment was so intense that it plunged the entire city into darkness, allowing him to escape. Once again consumed by guilt, the new recruit found Xiao Hong's mother and threw a map into her yard. When the mother opened the map, she found a marked location, realizing her son was still at the barracks. After doing this, the new recruit prepared to atone for his sins by taking his own life. He hung himself from a beam, ready to die. Xiao Hong, however, knew the recruit's death wasn't her fault and begged the emissary to save him. The emissary said he couldn't interfere in the affairs of the living world. Xiao Hong stated that if the emissary saved the person, he would stop running and go back to the underworld with him. The emissary agreed to break the rule and save Xian Bing. Xiao Hong asked the emissary to tell Xian Bing that he had forgiven him and hoped he would live well. Xian Bing answered. After agreeing, Xiao Hong's resentment was also calmed. Meanwhile, the mute mother, holding a sign, barged into the military camp seeking justice for her son. The indignant lieutenant saw this and tore the sign from the mother. She handed him a map, and upon seeing it, the map showed the place where Xiao Hong was buried. This left the lieutenant completely flustered, fearing the mischiefs were exposed, and he shoved Xiao Hong's mother to the ground. This scene happened to be witnessed by Xiao Hong passing by, and seeing her mother being bullied, she couldn't tolerate it any longer. Suddenly, the skin on her face began to peel off piece by piece, transformed into the form of a vengeful ghost, instantly raising a massive sandstorm. He swore he would definitely make the lieutenant suffer. With a roar, it transformed into a tornado, leaving nothing alive wherever it went. Seeing the situation turn bad, the lieutenant got up to escape. He got into a truck, ready to drive away, but was unexpectedly swept up into the sky by the tornado. With a punch, the lieutenant was thrown out of the driver's seat. Seeing this, the messenger rushed to save the lieutenant, but the next moment was hit by the vehicle. Xiao Hong transformed into lightning and ended the lieutenant's life. Due to her strong resentment, his brother in the underworld was also affected, and the firefighter was caught in quicksand, slowly sinking. The female messenger tried desperately to save him, but it was to no avail. At this moment, Xiao Hong heard the female messenger screaming in despair. He saw his brother already submerged by quicksand. For the sake of her brother, she withdrew her resentment, and the messenger took the opportunity to subdue her. Once the resentment disappeared, the brother from the underworld was also out of danger. Meanwhile, Xiao Huanyuan arrived at. The King of the Hell of Lies is an adorable little girl. The little girl doesn't listen to any explanation from the firefighter, and directly intends to pull out her tongue. The reason is that he lied while he was alive. The emissary from hell rushes up to defend her. It turns out that the firefighter in her previous life had always. He kept writing letters to his mother, saying he was married with children and living well, telling her not to worry. He even impersonated deceased teammates to write to his daughter. He kept deceiving the girl, making her believe her father was still alive, giving her hope. After listening to the messenger's defense, the king finally understood. She realized that all the lies the firefighter told were well-intentioned. In the end, the little girl declared the firefighter innocent, and then the firefighter proceeded to the next level of hell because he was kind and honest in life. He smoothly passed the injustice overseen by the king of the five senses. The betrayal hell governed by King Song Di. Unexpectedly, he was detained in the realm of violence. It turned out that while at school, he had beaten his younger brother and left home after the beating. He never went back, and until his death, he did not receive his brother's forgiveness. The king of violence made a judgment to punish the firefighter by sentencing him to a bottomless abyss. At a critical moment, the messenger from the living world made a video call, advising the female messenger to first apply for cumulative punishment. In other words, if the firefighter is found guilty in the next layer of hell, he will be doubly punished, and the three messengers will also be implicated. Then they arrive at the last layer of hell. The Thousand Circles Hell is where the firefighter committed the most serious crime. It turned out that when he was in school, he not only beat his younger brother, but also tried to kill his mother. What the hell is going on? Because his mother was seriously ill in bed at the time and his brother was malnourished, he lost hope of living. He was going to leave the world with his family, but in the end he couldn't do it. He left home with a full heart of guilt. He has never been home for more than 10 years, just working hard to send money back. They thought only his brother knew about it, but King Yalu said something that shocked the fireman himself. It turned out that when he raised his pillow that night, his mother had actually woken up. The reason why he didn't resist is that she didn't want to be a burden to the children. She hoped that his departure would make the children's life easier. When he found out the truth, the fireman knelt on the ground and collapsed. He said he could accept any punishment, but he hoped to see his mother and apologize to her. King Yama said, "Do you have to die to do something you don't want to do when you're alive? You have 15 years to apologize, but you keep running away and refusing to admit your mistakes." When King Yama was about to make a judgment, suddenly the earth shook and a mother appeared in the desert. It turned out to be his brother's soul entering his mother's dream. He told his mother that he was going to heaven to be a judge. He told his mother not to worry and asked her to forgive his brother. Because his mother was seriously ill in bed at that time, he had no food to eat, which led to malnutrition, so his brother had the idea of taking his family away. After that, Zihong felt very guilty and ran away from home for 15 years. He didn't dare to go home. He just worked hard outside and sent all the money he earned home. His mother shed tears for her son. The fireman's deeds moved everyone. At this time, his mother shouted his son's name. It's always the mute mother who finally made a sound in her dream. His mother has never blamed her son. Instead, he felt that it was all his fault. She kept apologizing to the two children. Everyone was moved when they saw the aftermath. According to the Buddhist rules, the fireman was truly forgiven by his mother, so there was no need to convict him. King Yama tore the judgment book and announced that Jin Zihong was innocent on the spot, and ordered him to turn over immediately. A white light shone on Jin Zihong. He sincerely bowed to the messenger and successfully turned over in a white light. This movie is called The Punishment of the Godchild. On the surface, his mother is just a supporting role in the movie, but in the end, you will find that she is the real protagonist. She is the goddess in the movie, because all mothers are goddesses who travel with their children and accompany them for the rest of their lives. The three guardians, Gangrem, Haeunmak, and Lee Deok-chun, celebrate Jahong's successful journey, but Gangrem, the leader, reveals he has an interest in Jahong's brother, Kim Soo-hong, whose story becomes a major focus in the last 49 days. This final scene introduces the connection to Along with the Gods, the last 49 days, as the second part primarily focuses on Kim Soo-hong's trials in the afterlife, with the three guardians continuing their roles in escorting him through the seven hells and addressing their own unresolved pasts. The cliffhanger leads directly into the second film, diving deeper into the guardians' backgrounds and Soo-hong's fate. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Narrator Stories Recaps for more movie recaps. See you in the next one.